Guys, I've been a streamer for a while. I've done a lot of footwork, I've done a lot of interacting, I've done a lot of gameplay. I've been pretty much a gamer all my life. Sometimes on and off. Sometimes I'll game for long periods of times and then I'll quit. But basically, game streaming is kind of a new thing to the human race, and I think we've yet to see what it will really become. And a lot of that stuff that's probably going to come out of it in the generations to come are going to appeal to those particular people. That being said, there are people that end up doing other things with their life. They don't have time to game that much, let alone stream and really pay attention to a lot of that stuff. But for me, I've paid attention to a lot of things that people might not pay any mind to, or, you might not consider the reality of the situation when it comes to, streaming games. And so there's something that it's kind of a little bit elevated thinking. It's a little bit, I don't know if you're listening to this might be a little bit hard for you to comprehend. I don't know, but basically the bad side of being a gaming streamer, and basically gaming in a nutshell is it kind of lacks depth. And especially I'm kind of referring more towards like streaming, gaming streams more than just gaming, because there's a lot of different angles there. But when it comes to you being a streamer and you playing games for other people, there can be a lot of complicated things in the game, okay? And you're figuring stuff out or this or that. It depends on the game because if you really think about some of the battle royale games or some of the, you know, MMO games and some of those games, there's really not much going on that's really pertaining to the real world, real life, you know what I mean? And so for someone to play a game for someone else and especially avoiding conversations about religion and politics or a lot of different other subject matters and kind of acing out all of that stuff and just I'm just going to play games. I'm not going to appeal to people in a different way. And honestly, my intellectual edge does not exist because maybe I'm not an actual intellect. And that's the thing is that I don't think a lot of them are really too smart because or it's kind of hard for me to really drive the nail in the board here. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to build this house for you because there's a lot of different factors, there's a lot of different people, and it really depends on who you're talking about. But as far as like streaming, mainstream streaming, it just seems like a lot of those people are going to appeal to younger people, teenagers and stuff that just want to kind of see someone that resembles a friend or someone relatable or someone that's like entertaining in a different way, do something that they can't do and make them feel good about themselves. And that's kind of the empowerment of the entire thing. But there is a little bit more than that when it gets to action and it gets to things happening, and there can be unique things that happen, and that's what you kind of almost strive for is to have unique things happen. But really, when it comes down to it, depending on your level of skill, you can just be randomly playing a game, and maybe one game will be good, and it depends on your level of skill. But so you can be gambling a bit with it, and it almost seems like you're almost playing the lottery a lot of time, especially with the viewers and stuff, trying to pretty much give them this projectile, this projection of yourself that makes them feel good because it's like, oh, you did it, you killed all these guys, or you did this or that, or you thought of something I never thought about, or you gave an experience in some way, shape, or form. Because there's a lot of different streamers out there, and they do a lot of different stuff, but that's kind of the hard part about it, I think, is you do have some more intellectually driven streams, and then you have some that are just purely based on like just a universal language. And that's probably the best that you can do is just be a sellout and be like, I'm gonna try to appeal to the most people that I possibly can. But that's another thing is your characterization is just weak. It's just like you're not a writer. How much time did you spend trying to come up with that streamer name? and the entire thing, like the way it looks, the way it feels, maybe even some catchphrases or things that you say. And that's just a hard that's a hard that's a hard train to catch, that's a hard horse to chase, you know what I mean? Whatever you want to say. Like it's hard to do some of those things because when you're just someone who's a gamer and just wants to stream, it's kind of hard to be appealing to people that you can't be appealing to in a particular way, I guess. It's like it's hard enough just to be someone that makes people feel welcome or comfortable or feels like, hey, that's my bro type stuff, let alone like elevate it to a charismatic level, almost like stadium hype, where, people play big concerts and people go crazy and, get electrified and all of that stuff. So that's, and then you get into genres, like if you start talking about genres, like genres peak and then genres go down. The first one that was popular with that genre, arguably, I don't even know, man. It's weird to say that maybe someone like talent is almost an illusion in a certain way because if no one really liked this particular thing, but it was a really talented person that did it, then the genre would just be picking and choosing different people at different times and they would just particularly get lucky. You know what I mean? It's like if someone tried to be like Elvis or something right now and did exactly what he did or something. Like it probably like no one would probably even really care about that or it's just weird how like the human race goes through different genres. And so that's another thing that it gets into. It's almost like you're already doomed before you even do it. And the only way like in entertainment, like the only way to really try and make it is to try to do multiple things. So, if you're just doing gaming streaming, you might be one of the lucky streamers. And it's kind of funny because you have so many like niche streams. You have so many dreamers, it's just so many people and I think the ease of access of information always gives you, it gives a human race a lot more when you learn what you need to be able to do to put on this stream. But there's just so many people, and it is chill. It is chill, I do understand how chill it is. Like no one really needs to take it to the extreme and make it this epic. Like it doesn't have to be this epic where you're really breaking everything down like that. But then again, if you really do break it down like that, it's kind of the truth. Like you could just say, I'm just streaming and just reside with the simplicity of, oh, I'm just streaming. But the reality is, there's just so much stuff that goes into it. You got to, like, are you trying to be funny? Are you trying to be entertaining? And so I'm not really trying to break down too much like how to be a streamer or anything like that, but it kind of coincides with kind of my point because your character doesn't really have much depth to it, then it's not able to appeal people in a certain way that they can appreciate it. So I guess you could just say some people are just more talented than others and maybe some are going to get better over time, but the whole sense of growing, some people actually downsize. Some people actually degress rather than progress, and so really the idea of it is almost just like just get lucky doing it, and which seems so lame for a person just put on a game and put on a face and just roll with whatever the hell it is you're gonna look like and see if that is gonna hit the money on the point. But that's what I'm saying is a lot of them, it's just that you're just a person playing games, and it's like I get that you can make jokes and stuff, and you can talk about complicated issues. It's just the reality of the situation is a lot of them aren't that funny, or they're really not that smart, or they're really not able to pay attention to too many things that are happening outside of the gaming community. It almost seems like all that time that you put in to try to be good at a game, and then out here there's so many different things happening in the world, you know what I mean? Like you're like playing yourself into a cave, and the longer you're in that cave, the longer that you're just so secluded from everything else, the less you're going to learn, the less you're going to be exposed. And then you're not going to be able to appeal to certain people that are paying attention to all this other stuff because people are interested in a lot other stuff. And if you're just, it's almost like just submitting to this idea of who you are and just, you're pretty like it's almost like you're just living on your gut instinct of this is what I can do, this is what I'm able to do, and this is what I want to do, and I can't do anything outside of that because I don't feel comfortable. And so you're just going to be locked inside of that sort of box where you're not able to appeal to certain people. It's because of the way that you act, the depth of the things that you're saying. And basically, some people don't even like video games, man. Did you ever think about that? Like maybe you're just trying too hard, and if you just and that's the thing though, it's a lot to a lot of people, it's just about games though. It's not about trying to make it in entertainment in any way shape or form, because that's kind of me. My mentality is kind of like that. Like, I'm gonna do a podcast, I'm gonna do these food videos, I'm gonna try to write books, I'm gonna try to make music, I'm gonna do all this different stuff. And when it really does come back down to it, me being a gaming streamer almost doesn't work out. So because it's like, to really be a streamer, you have to be good and you have to be funny, or you have to be good and you got to be entertaining. So you have to have some kind of like angle there, and like, hey, I'm a very, your personality combination with the atmosphere that you're able to provide. And a lot of the time, if you just kind of look at what you're giving people, it's like it's not even an appeal to a lot of people. So it's like you have to live with that, and you gotta deal with the comfortability of that, because that's being an actor. You see, you're going into a different realm now, and a lot of people don't realize that that's what they're doing, or that's what they won't do because they don't see it like that. So it's like, oh, I'm a gaming streamer, right? But I'm doing this thing that I'm doing. I don't care about what other people are doing, whatever. This is my thing, this is my community, or this is what I do. But when it really comes down to it, it's like dude, entertainment, like the base principles of entertainment and appealing to people is what is success. You know what I mean? Like appealing to people in a particular way is what is going to make you succeed. So if you're not able to appeal to them in a new revolutionary format as far as gaming or streaming goes, then it's always probably going to be a dead end, and there's probably going to be no depth for you whatsoever. So the reality of the situation is, making it as an entertainer and making it as a streamer is a lot different than what a lot of people think it is. And a lot of people just grind thinking that this is going to get them somewhere, when the reality is that your personality just isn't going to. It's just, and you're not able to change shape, you're not an actor. So you know that's a whole, like, the point of being an actor is to portray different characters that appeal to certain people. And some people like some of the characters, some people won't. And you're going to appeal to people in different ways. It's like, if you think about your favorite actor, you like these movies, but dude, some people might not like those movies you like, and they like other stuff that that person did, because they're able to appeal to them in a different way. And a lot of people don't get that. And like, I've understood it, and I've done a lot of footwork in it, and I've not nearly succeeded as much as a lot of other people. But it's kind of, just because you don't have the expertise doesn't mean what you're saying is not true or whatever. Because there's a lot of people that are like super good at something. Like, there's actually a lot of people that are super good gamers, right? But they don't really get as much attention. So it's really about like the personality and the atmosphere that this other person's able to provide is just appealing to other people. And I know that some people understand this stuff and then some people don't. But the thing about it is that if you really want to succeed, I think, for one, you just got to stop kidding yourself that you can't do something more, and but also realize what it's going to take for you to do that. Like, if you really think about like actually succeeding in something like that, and actually doing something that's going to be a big deal, because I know that this whole thing, being successful as a streamer is a big deal, and a lot of people, you know are living this dream or whatever. But when you really get down to it, it's like, yo, man, like, you can try to get popular for your face value. Like, my natural personality is all I need, you know what I mean? But there's reasons why, like in big blockbuster movies and stuff, that they put so much time into every single second of that footage and the sequence and the music and everything that goes on. But not every movie is popular. Not every movie gets popular, and they put a lot of work into it. So that's the whole other thing. It's that you can strive to do something different. You can have a good technical aspect of what you're doing, but maybe at the end of the day, maybe you don't have enough time, maybe you don't have enough heart, maybe you don't have enough passion, maybe you just don't have enough raw talent to put the pieces together. And that's what I'm trying to say is there's just such a lack of depth there that you're not able to appeal to certain people. And the one thing that a lot of people don't like video games. There's a huge amount of people that don't even play video games. They're not even interested. Like I've known people in my life that like they're totally outside of the gaming demographic. They don't give a shit about gaming, dude. You know, like they don't even know why people like it. They don't even pay attention to it. They're just like, oh, he likes playing games. They don't. It's almost like they don't even see anything that's happening on the thing. Almost like it's just like, oh, it's just fake anyway. So who cares, right? So that's one thing, that is just a reality of the situation. But another thing is, a lot of people only like games or only into games. So that's the hard thing is you try to do something outside of what these people want. So first of all, you have to do what gamers want you to do, which is typically play well or be sensationally funny or something. Very entertaining in a particular way or extremely relatable, because you can be really funny but not very relatable, or really relatable, not really funny, or not really good at the game. So it's like each and every one of the streamers out there have one kind of dimension that isn't really fitting them well. And probably the number one thing is just having a lack of characterization and just no name. Like and if you think about creating a name for your character that you want to do, like I'm saying like an actual acting effort, you know what I mean? An actual professional kind of publishing this thing to the internet. And and I know a lot of people try to do a lot of different things, but it's just like you might like something but other people don't like. I gave my character, that's what everyone does though. Everyone gives their character this name, and it's like, yeah, you might like it, some other people might like it, but it's like a lot of people gonna like it, or you just like going along, ha ha ha, yeah, this is cool, and you might even be a little successful, but it's at the same time, it's like, dude, a lot of people just don't like this, man. Like they don't like the way you're acting, they don't like the name, and maybe some people do, but in the reality of the situation, even if you had like 50,000 fans, that's still way more people out there that don't give a shit about you or probably hate you or don't like you because of something you're doing or the way that you act is just irritating to them. Um like some people have very soft-spoken personalities and very weak personas and stuff, and they're very almost passive, and they avoid conflict, and to that a lot of aggressive people, they don't like that. They're about risks, they're about taking chances, they're about getting in there, gutting that fish and throwing it on the grill, you know what I mean? And so it's and that's a whole controversy too. So there's a lot of controversies of personality, interest, and a lot of people will naturally become a fan of some of this different stuff. And so it's just basically what happens is it becomes a very complicated mess of characterizations, appeal, controversy, quality, skill, talent. And so you just have all of this different stuff that kind of goes into it. And I think the reality of the situation is just flat out how you look. Just how you look. Because and that's such a hard thing to master. And that's another thing. And I was kind of talking about this, but yeah, taking the time to do it. And it might not necessarily be worth it. Because there's a lot of people, like there's a lot of comedians out there, a lot of them put a lot of effort in. Some of them probably only master like one act and can only write one series of jokes that are really appealing to people. And they, some of them are pretty lame, honestly. And some of them just do variations of other stuff. So they're not really the original creator of this type of comedy. Or so there's like a lot of different stuff that goes into that. You know what I mean? And I know that, so basically it is almost like you can put in useless effort, like effort that it didn't even matter that you put in effort because you weren't even going to get anywhere to begin with. And that's why people don't want to put in effort, because they want what's worth it now. So if you're a streamer and you have like an average of 2,000 viewers, that's great. You're probably making a living and stuff, but at the same time, there might be things that you could do to be more popular, but it might be outside of the audience that you're appealing to. And so it's very hard to make like a character shift. And another thing is the character that you are almost isn't even real. That's another thing is a lot of people believe that their real self is real when a lot of the time it's just a result of other influences or BS beliefs that got in their head. And, like for example, there's a lot of stuff out there that can kind of come into your head and then you believe you are this thing or you act a certain way and you develop a speech pattern and then you're like this. But maybe, you can kind of be outside of that and think outside of that. And that just gets down to how intelligent you actually are. So a lot of this stuff is kind of complicated, but who knows? Maybe some people could understand what the hell I'm talking about here. But anyways, I think just especially when it comes to gaming, the simplicity of just looking good and making people feel good is probably the most important thing. But as far as actually having unique things to say and you say them well, like when someone says something in a movie and it's a good movie line, right? And there's a lot of bad stuff, bad movie lines too. There's a lot of movies, bad stuff in movies but actually had a lot of effort and a lot of money pumped into it. So you know what I mean? It's almost like you take what you can in the end. In the end, you kind of do take what you can. So if you can succeed, then it almost doesn't matter. But there are a lot of different other factors that might be relevant or might not, because maybe you're just a person, you're just going to provide this experience. You have some loyal people that like to watch your stream, and anything outside of that, it's probably not worth the effort, or but things can be worth the effort over time. But you're talking about, like, if you wanted to make something that was going to like blow people away, like just from a characterization perspective, you have to know how to be an actor to begin with. This takes time, this takes practice, this takes, you know what I mean, this can take forever to master. And there's a lot of people out there that never master it. But when you want to say what is mastering it, well, mastering it is being paid, is making money, making the big bucks. That's what you could consider mastering it. So if you say, oh, mastering a stream is about being the number one streamer in the world, then you mastered it. And the reality is, it's like not a lot of people are ever going to be able to do that. So, but you can still be a very good streamer. You can still be very, very gifted and still, you know, run it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the thing too. Is when you talk about extreme talent and you talk about ridiculous talent, or you talk about extreme success and ridiculous success, that's probably, the people that succeed at anything, the percentage kind of goes down and down and down until there's very small percentage. And so that's the tough thing about it, though, is knowing that I'm limited by myself, and it almost doesn't matter what I do. But if I did do more, or did something differently, or did a different character, or had a different flow, because a lot of, especially streams, are about the flow. And so just taking this all into consideration, um having a dream and being successful can almost just be nothing. It can just be like, you can believe in yourself, but it really, and this goes for everything, and people have to realize this. So maybe I'm not really saying anything new, but I'm just putting this out there. Maybe it could be new to someone else. And that's what I'm trying to appeal to people in different ways. So but this has been long enough. Have a good day. That's all I got to say. This has been a very in-depth look at streaming as a gamer and kind of the different stuff that goes into it. And that's it. Have a nice one.